Welcome to Nat's World, your passport to adventure, insights, and endless possibilities. For this episode, we're going to be talking about some big news that have recently came up for me. If you didn't know by now, I am the All-Star Senior Lieutenant. Woo! I am so incredibly thankful for having this position and also sharing this process with a lot of my friends as well. Now, I also want to explain what happened and how I even wanted to become a lieutenant in the first place. So first, let me paint you a picture of what's been going on these past few weeks. So we had our spring show, which is really great. If you didn't know, a spring show is kind of as the same as a dance recital in other studios, but we just name it differently. And if you want to see those pics from spring show, they're on my Instagram at nats_.world with 2 Ds. Again, that's NATS_.WORLDD. Now, people who don't know what a lieutenant is, basically a lieutenant is the co-captain with the captain of the drill team, and they also help out with organizing the team as well. From the first time I joined JV, I didn't even know what drill team was at first. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I know I wanted to do something in school, but I didn't know what that was at first. And then when we had our first game with varsity, which was, I think it was our homecoming game, when it was time for all the all-stars and the officers to go on the field, I remember all of my JV friends and me, we all just crowded in front of the field, just wanting to see the all-stars perform. But mainly what I was looking at, I was mainly looking at the officers that were in white with their batons. And I was just in awe because I've never seen this ever in my life. I remember telling myself that I wanted to do this as well because it just seems such a fun thing to do, leading all these people into the field and also dancing as well because dancing is a big passion of mine. Not just because I'm in drill team, but I've been dancing my whole entire life. And I especially think that it runs in the family. My mom had recently told this to me when I was trying out for lieutenant. She told me when she was younger, she was actually a dancer herself. She wasn't in drill team, but she danced different styles of dance. And I was in shock because I knew my mom was a dancer ever since I was born. We used to dance all the time in our little living room, also at family gatherings and quinceañeras as well. But I never knew that she actually danced like outside of our living room when I was younger. And something that she told me is that when you're pregnant, your dreams that you couldn't accomplish yourselves, they get passed on to your baby that's in the womb. So basically, what she told me was that me doing all of this, it's her dreams coming true in some sort of way. And that just really made me inspired to push through this whole tryout process. When trying out for a team, it's way more different because you have a whole group of people that you can rely on. But when you're trying out for officer, it's all on you. This is how you make your mark on this team. And let me tell you, officer tryouts are no joke. Yes, it's a fun process and you get to see all these dances and see how everyone performs because mostly, a lot of the times, you're looking at the same people whenever you're trying out for a routine. But when you're trying out for an officer, you get to see these people that want this position as much as you do. And you get to see how their facials are, how their technique is. At most, it's sometimes nerve-wracking. So we had signed up with our director for officer tryouts. And the first day of the week-long officer tryouts, we had learned officer strut, and then we had learned the officer jazz competition routine. And then we had to make our own solo that was 1 minute. And oh, let me tell you about this solo. I had the hardest time with my solo. I'm not a creative person. Well, I am in some aspects, but when it comes to dancing wise, I'm not a very creative person. I had just figured that out. And coming with this week-long process, we also did some cleanings for each routine. If you didn't know what cleaning means, basically it means to adjust how you're moving. When you're not making your movements sharp enough, that's when they'll come in and say, hey, you need to make this more powerful or you need to point this toe. That's basically what cleaning is. And also, we did some cleaning for our solos which made me feel a little bit better about my solo. We also got to choose our solo costumes, and let me tell you, I had such like a fun time with that because when you put on the costume, it makes your routine look so much better and you get to feel yourself more with the costume on. So fast forward to when tryouts happen. We first had mock tryouts during class with our whole team, and I'm going to be real honest with you, I was not doing good. I I wasn't confident in myself when it came to mock. And I think the reason why is because the team was watching me and I cared a lot of what these people thought about me because these might be the people that I'm leading next year and I want to look my best for them. But what I've learned with this process is that no one is perfect. You can try to be perfect, but no one is going to be perfect. There's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be flaws. And we have to work with those when it comes to these things. But when mock happened, I wasn't doing good. I do remember I do remember crying after I performed because I was just so overwhelmed thinking that I wasn't going to make this position and that why am I even doing this? There was no hope. But I do remember I had called my mom because she had actually told me the night before that I can do this and that if this is the Lord's will, then He'll give it to me. But if it's not His plan for right now, there's probably better things out there for me. So after school, we had came to the locker room, started getting ready, started doing our makeup. During mock, I wasn't wearing any makeup, and whenever I did put on makeup for actual tryouts, I think that really helped me because, like I said, I wasn't really confident, and I think without makeup, I just, I looked ugly that day. I could say that now. I looked ugly that day, and I just did not feel it. And after I did put on makeup, we started stretching, and that's when they started passing out our numbers and started giving the officer candidates the batons to go in and do officer strut in front of the judges. When it was finally time for me and my group to go on, I was a nervous wreck. But I remember praying before I went out there and I was just like, let's just do this, you know? So after doing officer strut, then we changed into our dance shoes and got ready to do our officer jazz routine. And I can say safely for both routines, I think I did pretty well. I liked how I smiled and I think the judges liked me too. But I really think when I had confidence in myself, that's what mainly projected to the judges to see, oh, like she can do this. So fast forward to my solo. I had walked in there smiling the whole time. Then we had to interview with the judges. And I can very much say that I was very nervous interviewing with these judges because I really wanted to make a good impression because this is a role that I really, really wanted. But I can safely say that it went well. I remember making a few jokes and I remember like there was some laughing with it. And it just felt better whenever it was like jokes going on and when they were smiling at me. It felt better when they did that. So after finishing my solo, we all had a wait outside. Our director came out and she had the papers that said either we got a position or we didn't get a position. I remember I was such a nervous wreck. I was with my mom and I'm just like, oh my God, mom, like I don't think I did it. Like I'm so scared. And I do remember vividly that when we were waiting for our papers, that they were saying, oh my God, there's only 3 batons, there's only 3 batons. And I was just, my heart sank because I thought that I didn't get this, that I wasn't good enough for these judges. Well, I can safely say now that on the paper, when I opened it, that I got a position and I was so happy that I was just jumping up in joy. I really thought in the moments before that I couldn't make this position because of all the other people that were trying out as well, because those people were also great themselves, but I lacked confidence in myself as well. So when we proceeded to the gym and we had our backs turned, that's when we got the surprise of what position we made. I remember that one of the lieutenants was holding a baton and her hat, and she had a paper that said All Star Lieutenant Natalie Venzor, and I do remember crying because I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe I did this. And I really want to thank a lot of people who also tried out with me, and that this was a very hard process, but I want to safely say that this is a great, memorable experience that I will always treasure in my life. Thanks for joining us in Nat's World. Until next time, stay curious, glam, and keep exploring.